Hello and welcome to the early birds. Thank you for being here on our Ninja Skills Booster. Procrastination. We're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes. Get settled in, team. Thank you for being here. Welcome, Melissa. Welcome, Joshua. Good morning. Excellent. We're finding the chat already. Beautiful. Let us know where you're joining us from today. Where are you coming in from today, team? Sunny but snowy Alberta. Thank you for being up early for us. Josh is in Ontario. Excellent. I'm just in Hamilton myself, Joshua, so thank you for being here. Barbara, my partner in crime here, typing away. Maybe she's letting us know. St. Mary's, there it is. Getting it in on the location game.
Yeah, well, gold star for anybody who knows where that is.
I know where it is.
You've been here.
I've been here.
You have. I expect we're going to get a flood of people right at
Yeah, a lot of the top of the hour people join you right as that kind of clock turns. So again, thank you folks for being here. We certainly appreciate it. Signing in early. We're being very ambiguous with our title, Dust and Frogs. More on that to come. Oh, hello, Deidre. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you. I think this will be a great little reminder, and then we start our ninja class at 11. So
yes,
perfect
11
timing.
your time.
So you're joining us on the 6 weeks to Ninja.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful.
I think actually
Tremendous.
most of my team is this morning, so that'll be great.
All right.
We look forward to it, Deidre. And there's Kristen.
Yes, hello,
Hi.
good morning.
Well,
Good morning.
morning.
Morning. Thank you for being here, folks. We're getting a few more folks connected.
Got a whole RDC contingency I can see.
Oh, excellent.
Wendy,
I love it.
Melissa.
Well, let's keep the game going because it seems like some of you know each other, but maybe in the chat you could let us know where people are signing in from. Where are you joining us from today, team?
Let's see, we've got Courtney. An ex 6 weeks to Ninja.
Yeah, we've got a 6 weeks to Ninja alum. Hello, Courtney. Good to see you again. Yeah, raise the roof.
Another one from Alberta.
RDP repping strong today. Thank you for being here.
That's awesome.
Oh, sad face indeed. Sorry about that.
Oh,
Oh,
Courtney, they don't know what they're missing. You just have to keep coming joining us, though. That can't be your last Ninja session. Come join us every month.
Am I on mute?
Nope,
Not anymore.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I got laid off and today's my last day and I'm looking at my calendar and I'm like, hey, I have a ninja session. I'm going to do this one last time.
Love it.
So here I am.
Thank you
Glad
for
to have
spending
you.
your time with us.
Thank you for teaching me how to be awesome the last few years.
Oh, you are
Oh,
awesome.
the awesome was innate. We just gave you a couple of skills. Welcome to the new folks who are joining us. Thank you for being here. We're going to get started momentarily, just in the next minute. As we're waiting for a few more folks to join, please just let us know in the chat, where are you joining us from today? Where are you coming in from? One last sip of Ninja Fuel, and we're going to get rolling. Oh, Carrie's place. Wonderful. Thank you, Angie. Barbie, what do you say? Should we stop procrastinating and get rolling?
Yeah, you start, Nick, and if anybody else comes, I will just add them all in.
Brilliant. All right. Well, welcome one and all to our Ninja Skills Booster session. Procrastination, everyone's enemy. We're going to be talking about thinking dust and eating frogs. A weird way to kind of phrase procrastination, but I promise you it will all make sense in just a moment. My name is Nick Aiello, and I am a productivity ninja. That's what it says on my job, on my job descriptions, on my business cards. It's awesome. And I work for a company called Think Productive. And we are a global training company, offices here in North America, in the UK, in Australia, worldwide. And we are on a mission, a work revolution where everyone loves Mondays. All of our courses, all of our workshops are derived from the best-selling book, How to Be a Productivity Ninja. Many of you are familiar with it already. We'll be touching on some of the aspects of that today. And there's some good news right at the top, because yes, we are ninjas, but we are not superheroes. We are human. And what that means is we're not pretending to have all the answers. We're not gurus of any kind. We're not claiming to be perfect. Even ninjas procrastinate. And we're going to talk to you about the how and the why we procrastinate, and maybe sometimes why it's even beneficial to procrastinate. So let us get into it. Let's get started. We're going to dive deep into procrastination today. What is it? Why we do it? And maybe the most important part, how to fight our procrastination instincts like a ninja. So let's just start with a very informal poll, a virtual reaction, a nod, a thumbs up if you're on camera. How many of you here on the call today are admittedly a procrastinator? Courtney knew the question right away, hand was up. I'm seeing a couple reactions. And the rest of you are liars, because truly we have to be. We all are procrastinators, and I mean this in a very loving way. I truly believe there's not enough time to get everything done. I do believe also there's always enough time to get the most important things done, but I know you folks are busy, so sometimes I don't think we can get everything done. That means we have to procrastinate on some things. I think this is okay. This is called selective procrastination. As we're going to talk about over the next half hour or so, being very much aligned of what our priorities are. What are the things that create impact, that add value? Those are the things we should never procrastinate on. Those are the things that we should be working on intentionally, proactively. But that means there's going to be some things that we need to do less of or later. And those are the things we should procrastinate on, things that are of low value or low impact. So we'll talk about selective procrastination a little bit. What is it? Let's talk about procrastination. What is it? There's some cool definitions out there. There's maybe over, I think it's 1.2 million Google searches a day about procrastination and how to stop it. But there's some interesting definitions out there. I'll share a couple with you, and I'll share my favorite one with you as well. So one of the definitions, procrastination is a delay in conjunction with subjective discomfort. So we're putting things off, and we know that we're maybe not doing the right thing. There's a discomfort there. So it ties into the second one, the illogical delay of behavior. We know what we should be doing. We know what needs to be done. We just can't get ourselves to do it. And again, the wiki kind of definition is procrastination is the action of unnecessarily, and the keyword voluntarily, delaying or postponing something. It's your choice. We're putting it off, despite knowing that there will be negative consequences. This is my favorite one. This is the best one I've ever come across. Procrastination is the gap between intention and action. We know what needs to be done. We know likely even how to do it, but sometimes we just can't force ourselves to get started, to get over the hump, to get into go mode. And we're going to talk about that right now. Over to you in the chat. We're going to be vulnerable together so we could learn together. What is something you are currently resisting? What is something you are procrastinating on right now? Again, we are all friends here. This is a no judging zone, safe space. What is something you are procrastinating on? Taxes, Melissa, me too. I've got appointments coming up and I'm behind, but absolutely. Course outlines for the fall. Yeah. Exercise routine. I've been procrastinating on exercise for like 7 years now, I think. We always tend to procrastinate on that one a little bit. Policy work, cleaning my house. Absolutely. I'm already, folks, we're going to get there in a minute, starting to see some reasoning behind why you're procrastinating on some of this stuff. Some of this is making sense on what types of things we are procrastinating on. Cool. Thanks for playing along. Thank you for being a little vulnerable with me. Let's talk about why we do it. Now, again, procrastination is the gap between intention and action. But what I've come across in my actual research of procrastination is there's about 3 different types of procrastinations and different reasons why we put things off. The first one that a lot of us are familiar with is called avoidance procrastination. Again, this is just finding motivation to get started. This one, avoidance procrastination, we're putting things off, is often rooted in some kind of fear. What will people say about the work I'm doing? I'm being evaluated. I'm being judged on it. Fear of failure, fear of success. But we put it off because we are wondering, what are other people's opinions? I need to do a really good job with this, but I don't know where to get started. So that one is a common one for many of us, avoidance procrastination. The second one, I can tell some of us probably dealing with this, is called perfectionist procrastination. And this is where I want to do such a good job with this. I could see it in my head. I know what it looks like at the very end. It's perfect. I don't know where to get started. Or I can see the entirety of it in my head, but I don't know where to go first. We want to do such a good job with whatever task we're doing. We don't know where to get started. This is the source of all writer's block, by the way. I have an epic novel in my head. Okay, chapter 1. We don't know where to get started. We want to do such a good job. We can envision the end, the completion so well or so up to our standards that we don't know where to get started. If you don't know whether you're sometimes a perfectionist, play along with the game. I know some of you are off camera. Just say it to yourselves. There's a little test. Fill in the blank, finish my sentence. If I want something done right, I need to. Yeah, and if your first instinct in your head was do it myself, hello, perfectionists. We will talk to you a little bit later. The third type of procrastination is called arousal procrastination. Ooh, no, not like that. Don't think about it that way. Arousal procrastination means we need some kind of external motivation or stimulant to get us moving. The most common one we see is a deadline. How many of you feel you work better under a time constraint or a deadline? Give us a reaction, a virtual reaction, or let us know in the chat. Yeah, right? Oh, lots of thumbs up there, cool. So sometimes this works, right? Putting even a false deadline gets us motivated, gets us moving. Because what a deadline does is it often eliminates choice. Well, I can't do this and this. There's not enough time. I have to choose. I have to only do this. Here's the thing with deadlines. Be cautious of them as a motivator, because over time, these psychological and physiological effects can wear on you. Things like increased heart rate, blood pressure, often leading to fatigue or burnout. So if we're using them sporadically to motivate ourselves, cool, but beware of the long-term effects. Some of the other things why we procrastinate is linked to our lizard brain. We call it our lizard brain. It's actually known as the amygdala. It's the hind part of our brain that's in charge of our fight or flight responses. And it's done a good job over the last how many thousands of years of keeping us alive, but it's not only fight or flight anymore. It's fight, flight, or freeze. And sometimes this part of our brain is hindering us from moving forward. It views all change as a threat. And we know logically not all change is a threat. Some change is opportunity. Some change is advancement. But it's getting over this part of our brain. And let's be honest, this part of our brain has worked overtime the last 3 years with all the changes, that sometimes we have to overcome this brain trying to protect us so that we can get motivated and get moving to do things. So here is a great solution. This is one of my favorite slides to talk about. Dust. Why are you resisting things? Likely those things that are on your to-do list are dusty. We tend to put off. We tend to procrastinate things that are difficult, things that are undefined, things that are scary, and things that are tedious. And just in our little chat flood, we saw some of these come up. So things that are difficult, meaning I'm not putting this off because I want to, I don't actually know how to get started. It's challenging, it's difficult. I haven't dealt with this before. Undefined, meaning it lacks clarity. This is one where there's fuzziness or ambiguity. And again, we're uncertain about what to do next. What is the next physical action? How do we actually get started? Scary usually means there's consequences. If I don't do this, my butt is on the line. Usually, if you're having that feeling, it's a good place to start because you know it matters. You know that there's consequences or stakes attached to it. And tedious, it's just not fun. We are in a I want to have fun all the time world. And sometimes things like taxes or exercise can be tedious or not fun. So we're going to tend to delay these things that are difficult, that they lack clarity, that there's fuzziness, they're undefined, they're scary, meaning we know that they're important, or again, rooted back to that I'm being judged, I'm being criticized, that avoidance, procrastination, or they're just not fun. Here's the thing, and I love this. Dust is one of those cool words that is both a noun and a verb. And what I mean by that is sometimes the best way to get rid of dust is to dust. So if there is something on your to-do list that is dusty, dust it off. So if something and we can recognize is difficult, how do we make it easier? Is there an example from someone else that I can see? Who has done this before me? Can I break this down into manageable bite-sized pieces? If something is undefined, how do we get clarity around it? What piece needs to be, again, more clear and less ambiguous? If it is a project, how do we break it down into the next physical actions? If paint your bedroom is on your to-do list, we're probably going to procrastinate on it because it's undefined. We can't just paint the bedroom. That's not next. We have to buy paint. We have to move furniture. We have to tarp off the room. Those are actionable things. So sometimes it's not as defined. Scary, come to terms, face your fear. Because sometimes we know if something's scary, that means there's stakes, that means there's importance. Sometimes, usually on the other side of fear is something safe. So if you're procrastinating because it's scary, you just know that this means it's likely important and adds value. If it's tedious, how do we make it fun? How do we involve goals and games and make things a little bit fun? Something like paperwork or taxes. We often recommend time punching this. Working for a specific amount of time and giving yourself a treat. We're going to talk to you about this a little bit later with the Pomodoro method. So working on this for just a little bit of time and then giving yourself a break or a reward. Over to you, a moment for reflection. Go over your list, your to-do list, your undone list, the things that are still lingering. What is likely on your list? What element of dust do your tasks most replicate? And we've added our why to make it dusty, and meaning not due yet. I'm putting this off because, again, that time deadline hasn't sunk in yet. It is no longer imperative. So let me know in the chat which letter of dust, difficult, undefined, scariest, tedious, or not due yet, do your tasks most best replicate right now? Is that thing that you've been putting off, that thing you first put in chat, is it difficult? Is it undefined? Is it tedious? Okay, it's a little not due, and it's scary for Joshua. It's difficult for Kristen, undefined for a couple folks. Yeah, that first thing, cleaning your house, taxes, exercise, right? So how do you dust it? How do you make it more clear? How do you give it more impact? Well, we've got some ways for you. We're not going to leave you hanging. That would be unfair. So how do we fight this procrastination like a ninja? Our first little tip is to get a second brain. Again, great quote. We come back to it all the time at Think Productive. Our minds are for having ideas, not for holding ideas. So getting our thoughts out on paper in an app in any form clears the fog of our brain. We go deep into this in a lot of our courses, how to get a second brain, and a ninja needs a second brain, getting things out. And this is what I've talked about a little bit already earlier, a projects list. A little bit more amplified than a to-do list, because sometimes we have things on our to-do list and we put them off, or there's resistance, and it's actually because it's a project. Like I mentioned, paint the bedroom has multiple steps. So in order to tick off paint the bedroom, that's actually a project. I need to buy paint, tarp off the bedroom, move furniture. Having something like a master actions list. This is kind of sort of like your to-do list, but again, amplified, because we're going to indicate all of the project steps and likely which ones we can do next. So that's an important one. What is the next physical action? So again, I can't paint the bedroom unless I've bought paint. That has to be first. I can't buy paint unless I've talked to my wife about paint colors. Okay, now that has to be first. So some of these actions have to be first and have to be next. Another thing that I love having in my second brain is an ideas list. There's maybe not an action for it right now, but I don't want to lose the thought. No, my anniversary is in June, but I saw something this week that my wife would like. I don't need to action that yet, but I want to put it in my good ideas list just for something to come back to. So that is one way. And again, we go into depth about this in our courses, how to build and nurture your second brain. And this could be pen and paper. This could be an Excel app. This could be a phone app. We've got strategies for all of these on some of the courses. Another way, and I love this analogy, eat that frog. Some of you may be familiar with this analogy. It was the first coined phrase was by Mark Twain, but popularized by Brian Tracy. And it's for whatever reason, if you had to eat a live frog as part of your day, for whatever reason, you should probably do it first thing in the morning. That way, you know, nothing else in your day is going to be that bad. Everything else is going to be sweet. So your frog is whatever you just wrote in chat, that thing that you're procrastinating on. And you should eat that frog before it gets any bigger. You should work on those things that are the most difficult, the most tedious, the most challenging, or add the most impact. create the most value. That way, you know, if you're tackling that first, nothing else is going to be more important in your day. Eat that frog. We've seen this come back in the last few years. Over the pandemic, we've seen a lot of remote and hybrid workers use this as an analogy for their team, and they're having virtual frog hunting. And what I mean by that is people will have a check-in first thing in the morning. What are your big frogs today? What are you working on? What are your tadpoles? What are the things that are still on your plate but less important? Maybe a check-in early afternoon. Okay, how's that big frog coming? We've been seeing this work for a lot of teams, a lot of companies, having these frog discussion check-ins because it gets you lined up with priorities. The other thing I love and I advocate for is the Pomodoro technique, which works as a little timer. And again, we know timers can be a motivating factors. The Pomodoro technique is a 25-minute sprint, take a 5-minute break. Work for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break. You do this no more than 4 times in a row before taking a longer break. But again, this one really helps you overcome things that are tedious. I don't want to do this, but I know I can do this for 25 minutes. I know I could do paperwork for 25 minutes. I know I could exercise for 10 minutes, whatever that means for you. So that's one that we really like as well. And we need to be mindful of our attention. This is a big mantra for us at Think Productive. 3 levels of attention: our proactive attention, active attention, and inactive attention. Proactive attention is when we are at our best, at our mental peak. We are alert, we are getting things done. Active attention is still pretty good. We're getting things done, making some minor mistakes, getting distracted a little bit. Inactive attention is what we call zombie mode. And this is where we're making a lot of mistakes or getting distracted. And the rule is try to line up your most important work to match your best attention. What are those things that need your energy and your attention because they add value or create impact? What are those things in your day that still need to get done, but you should never do during your best attention? And what are those things in your day that you could do automatically? You've done it 1,000 times. You don't need to think about it or use too much brain capacity. So that's a good way to overcome procrastination, is schedule those things that have resistance, those things that are dusty during your peak attention. Sometimes we need to go into stealth mode as well, because we know the amount of virtual distractions in our world, and that's sometimes turning your phone on do not disturb. If you're in Outlook using work offline, this is a fantastic magic button. It's right under your send receive folder, work offline. It delays any new incoming email from reaching you. I will mention, note, highlight, you do need to deselect it so that your email starts to return to you. I don't want to get anyone in trouble. And Forest is a cool app again, if you know that your cell phone is a distraction. It's kind of like the Pomodoro. It's a timer for not being able to access some of your apps and phones. Another thing to think of, I know we're going fast here, folks, intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. You know, sometimes we feel like I have to overcome my own procrastination. I have to create momentum. And one way to kind of flip this is to make it an extrinsic motivation. What I mean by that is, you know, could you put a deadline into somebody else's world? So if, you know, I'm procrastinating on doing my taxes, I booked my accountant appointment. I know I have to show up this Friday, actually, at 10 a.m. So it has to be done. So it forces me to get over my procrastination and do something. So who can you bring into this task to hold you accountable? You know, if you're procrastinating on exercise, do you need a gym buddy? Okay, well, I know I need to meet this person every Thursday at 7 so we can go work out. You know, that is an extrinsic motivation. Something to think about as well as mindfulness. And this is how we use our boss mode thinking. Think Productive, we advocate before you get into your email, first thing in the morning, 5 things on a piece of paper, on a Post-it note, because it's small, intentionally. 5 things that are going to add the most value to your day or create the most impact. Then get started on that. So this is a great way to overcome procrastination, because we're getting very, very particular about what our daily priorities are. We also recommend doing a weekly review, about an hour at the end of your week, of what's coming up. get your brain thinking of what still is left undone and now what is coming up. And again, the more aligned you can be about your priorities, the more likely you are to overcome your procrastination. So here we go. Not a lot of time left, but over to you. 1 minute built in now. Take some time. Personal reflection. We've given you some tips and tactics. We've given you some philosophy about why we procrastinate. 1 minute, over to you. What will you do now? If people are comfortable sharing what they're going to do in the chat, that's great. And if you'd like to keep this a personal reflection, that's okay as well. Great templates in my Rocket book for the lists. Nice. I like that. Very cool. Going to start the project list, master action list, idea list. Tremendous, Kristen. Thank you. And one last thing, folks, we talked about the idea that we are humans. We are not superheroes. And here's maybe some friendly reading suggestions for you is, again, we can't do everything. We don't have time to do everything that's probably on our list. I do think there's enough time to do the most important things. So have some self-kindness around overcoming your procrastination and try to focus on impact. And what are those things that are going to create impact and add value? Again, some of you might start looking like superheroes pretty soon, but just know that we are human after all. Hopefully this was of value to you folks today. We've got a lot of new things coming your way in 2023. Delegate like a ninja, emotional intelligence, something that's really important to me right now. So we've got a lot of programs coming out. Please check us out. All of our old favorites are still there. Inbox to Zero, The Way of Productivity Ninja. And we've got a surprise. Somebody here is going to get a copy of How to Have the Energy. This is, again, Graham, who wrote How to Be a Productivity Ninja's, his book on work energy and fuel and nutrition. One person randomly selected from the evaluations is going to win the book. And here is the evaluation now. Barbara's going to put it into chat for us. They've got a QR code if you want to scan it. Let us know what you thought of our little skill booster today. Half hour out of your time. Thank you for being here. We certainly appreciate it. But again, we want to get better at this. If you can't tell, I love what I do. So if we could be doing it any better, please let us know. We hope you had a great time. I can stick around for a few minutes if people have questions, but if you need to get back to your day, thank you for joining us here today. We certainly appreciate it. All the best to you moving forward. Be safe and be well. Cheers.